This is like elf vogue, is what I call this. Christmas fashion.
Well, am now realizing that part of it's green, so...
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not?
Now we are.
Oh, okay.
I do realize part of it's green, though, which is going to be problematic for the green screen.
Oh.
My bad.
Should I take it off then? Probably. Unless my head... Maybe I'll be a bald man in this.
You can block it with your big head.
With my big floppy dot. Problem
A
solved.
big floppy
Wait,
dot.
what if the green screen only picks up the red?
Amazing. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Now you have a clown nose floating above you.
Oh my goodness, look, it's sassy magic. Sassy magic. Okay, I'm done. People who are listening are no longer listening, and people who are watching hate me, so.
Christmas time is here.
We've had a year featuring Chauncey.
What's the song that's like orchestra?
What?
The Christmas orchestra song that they always put lights to. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Welcome to our Christmas special.
We've had a year to learn the rest of that Charlie Brown song, and we just never did, by the way.
What do you mean? I did.
Oh, okay.
I knew all the words.
You just had Chauncey cover for you, I see.
Hello, everybody. This comes out, if I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, comes out the Sunday before Christmas.
Is my phone ringing?
Someone's phone's ringing. It's your mother again. It's like she knows.
I tried to show the people what my mom's picture is when she calls, but just think about Lucille Bluth and you'll get the idea. Merry Christmas if things are according to plan.
If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate anything, Happy Day. I hope you still are having a good time.
Have a great time today.
Despite the cold, I'm sure you're chilly, and if you're not celebrating a holiday, that's kind of lame that you have to sit in the cold while other people
And if you're
sing.
in Florida and don't celebrate Christmas, then I guess today is just like a random Wednesday for you.
It's a beach day.
Well, I guess Sunday. I guess today's Sunday for you.
Oh, that's true. It is
because this comes out on a Sunday.
La 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 la.
Okay, so
hello everyone.
Hello. How is your Christmas going? As I say,
to whom are you asking this question?
To you.
To me?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. I just won Christmas Tanner. This is me manifesting it.
Sure.
I just won first place.
Got it.
What about you?
I don't know what I'm doing on Christmas at all. I know I'm in Virginia, but okay. I don't know where I am.
That's a start.
My parents are still doing the divorce thing of like, oh, are you with me in the morning and your dad at night? Or are you with your dad in the morning and me at night? It's so.
See, what you got to do is you got to marry someone and then go to their house. That's what I'm learning really quickly.
Allison, are you listening?
Yeah. Don't do that. Oh my gosh.
And now the floodgates open with gossip.
Christ.
We are not even talking about engagement.
This would be the worst
Everyone leave us alone.
way to propose to somebody.
Wait, as you say, wasn't Blaze going to propose on this show?
Yeah, but that was before, like, it was a whole thing, and it was just going to be kind of cute, and then, like...
Right.
But in person, not, like, over the episode, and then 3 weeks later...
Allison, are you listening?
What if she doesn't
listen?
Down? What if you
down to wed?
What if you did do that, and then she just didn't listen? She told you she listened to the show, but she didn't.
What if this really was a proposal?
It's not,
She would kick my ass. No, that's not how this is going.
It would be the worst way to propose to somebody. It'd be like, oh, in 3 weeks, listen to this episode on your commute.
Guys, I'm not proposing to Allison. Allison, I'm not proposing to you.
So
if you did not, I like to think you know me well enough.
Allison's already pretty pissed about this. Allison, just sorry.
No,
I had nothing to do with this. Hello.
Allison, she told me to do it.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Allison knows me better than that. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, friend-iversary, Al and I.
I thought you meant me, and I was like, I'm the worst friend ever to not have that information.
You already ruined our friend-iversary. Don't worry about it.
So, okay, 10 years with you and Allison. That's great.
Yeah, we met 10 years ago.
That's pretty adorable. Do you want to tell the story?
17 and I was 18.
Wow, you guys really have known each other for a long time.
I know. We were little babies. Also, before I forget, today, it's not when this comes out, but it is Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week. And so I'm wearing my Crohn's is Cray t-shirt. And I got it from an Instagram account called Crohn's is Cray, and they just sent it to me for free. They said, pick something off the website.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'll send it to you. And so I just want to give them a little shout out. And if you know someone with Crohn's or colitis, give them a little hug today, but not too hard because their tummy might hurt.
I'd hug you, but your tummy might hurt. I'm giving you a metaphysical hug.
Thanks.
Does your soul feel relieved?
It actually feels really like
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, I got mine too. Mine too.
Oh boy. So that's that. I just wanted to. And I have a patron of the week since we're now making this a weekly thing. I decided.
Oh, yes. Well, we probably should.
But the problem is, if we do it monthly, we're never going to remember, and then 3 months later, we're going to be like, oh yeah.
But every time you do that, then I remember that I forgot to figure out the name of who suggested this story.
Well, maybe then you should just do that.
Okay.
Okay, so our patron of the week, month, I don't know what, is Sydney Stevens. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you, Sydney.
That's all.
All right.
We appreciate your support.
Oh, I remember now.
Okay, good. And I think that's all I have. It's holiday season.
Tis the season. Oh, please go get tickets.
That's right.
We forget to keep saying this, but we presumably still have tickets left for our tour. So please go get them.
Yeah, the day that we're recording this, tickets actually went live for sale, like for general sale, not
today
pre-sale.
for us.
And apparently we already sold out in New York, so we're pretty proud of that. So go check if we're coming to a city near you, because I think we're moving some product, if you will.
Moving some products. Move some prods, you
As
know.
the kids say.
That's what they do say. Oh, I heard a kid last night in Target go, he was with his friends, they were like teenagers, and I heard him go, whoa, an electric toothbrush? And his friend was like, yeah, I hear that's the move these days. And I was like, I'm so old that I didn't know that was a phrase. And I'm also so old that I knew the electric toothbrush has been a move for a while. But
Yeah, hello, quip.com, promo code drink. What do you
apparently his mind was blown. He had never seen an electric toothbrush until last night.
Well, I think that's more a problem with him than anyone else, because they're
Okay,
pretty
I feel
much
better then.
everywhere.
Well, apparently, if you didn't know, electric toothbrush are the move. We probably said it wrong and sound like such grandparents.
This is like the time I said "thote" like 8 million times, and you were just looking at me like, okay.
I was like,
Okay.
I love you as my best friend. And that's all that needs to be said.
Full stop.
Period. Okay, so the reason that I didn't remember this time a person's name is because this actually was not suggested by anyone. I wanted to do a Christmas adjacent story.
Okay.
So I went amongst myself and Google to find a Christmas story.
You went amongst yourself.
I went with myself traveling
Just really did
through I made a move like the toothbrush.
You deep dive into your soul.
All right, so okay, let's tell the story first about what I wanted to cover.
I received a phone call, and it was M saying, I don't know if I'm in a thin place. And I went, well, I don't want to be involved in this, but as your friend, I decided I would be. So then M says, what did you say?
So I remembered, so before we even go any further, it ended up being episode 47 where I talk about Krampus.
Yeah, don't go Googling. We figured it out.
At the end of Krampus, apparently I also tried to squeeze in another folklore, which I should have, in hindsight, used that as a whole other story.
Yeah,
because there was definitely enough information.
Back then, we didn't know we would need those stories for later.
I burned through my material. But so I remembered vaguely covering the Icelandic Yule elves or Yule lads. And, but I couldn't find an episode where I covered it. I looked through all of our episodes.
We looked through the episode guide, and it wasn't in there.
To see, and I was like, I know I've covered this story. I know I have.
Well, and it's funny because you called Eva, and Eva was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it was before Eva worked with us. So she's like, I have no idea. So Em's like, oh my God, I'm literally going crazy.
I was like, I know, like, I haven't even started researching this, but I know enough to know that there are at least 13 of them.
Yeah.
And they, like, break into your house to eat your food and shit. Like, I know they exist.
And then you called me without any, like, you were like, did I cover those? And I was like, oh yeah, the ones that, like, eat your food and eat your cookies. And you were like, yes, so I have covered it.
Either that or we're both in the thin place.
Or we're both, you just took me in the thin place with you, which is entirely possible. So we felt really crazy and then I went digging and I was like, I can't find it either.
So thank you, Twitter, for everyone giving us the answer to that, which was, I talked about the Yule lads in the Krampus episode, which I think was 47. So I would like to go back and do that again eventually. I think that would be a nice retelling because I do remember rushing through it.
You know, some people have requested I retell old stories, and I was thinking about it because obviously I'm like, that seems kind of lame unless you have like new information or you have a better way to tell it.
Yeah, it feels like cheating you guys out of a new story
or
something.
But I was thinking about it and I was like, if we told a story in 2017 or whatever, like presumably soon it'll be 3 years since then. And if people are listening like in order, they also haven't heard it for a long time.
That's true.
I mean, I guess unless you're binging
we have gotten better at researching. I remember when I did the Winchester Mystery House and when I did the Whaley House, so the first 2 episodes, I remember I did all my research in like an hour.
Same for Jonestown, and now I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to it than what I actually brought up in the story. So I would love to retell it using the tools, quote, the Google I use
Google
now.
page. I figured out how to use Google.
Instead of
then.
using one link, I use 3 pages of links. So I'm sure there's more that I was not aware of. And I'm sure there's documentaries and stuff I didn't even watch.
Yeah, now I've started doing documentaries, podcasts, and news articles, so it's like a nice little rounded combo. But back then, I definitely was not doing that. So,
yeah, so we'll have to...
I don't know. Let us know what you think. We don't want to do it to like appear lazy, but we do want to sometimes cover stories that we feel like we have more information now. So let us know what you think.
I fucked this up. Now my hair is sticking out.
Oh, I gave Em an elf hat before realizing it had green stripes on it in front of the green screen.
So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to have a bunch of red dots on a bald head. And now I'm going to have like a weird patch of hair in the front.
I think it looks good.
Well, good luck, green screen, however this goes.
Handsome, rugged.
You said you only get to say that 5 times in our life. You don't finish the sentence.
Trying to get rid of them.
Don't finish. I get 3 more of those in my life.
It's like the slaps from How I Met Your Mother. Just like collecting them.
I get 3 more and I do not want this to be one of them.
All right. You in that hat. Don't make this the moment.
Don't make this where you call me rugged.
I take it back. I take it back.
Kind of like I recently just saw Booksmart, so that's why it's coming up.
Such a good movie.
But how they have Malala.
Oh my God! Yes, you can only and
it's your
foolproof.
once a year get out of whatever the situation is,
or like you get to make the call no matter what. They say Malala. It's very funny. Also, I meant to say if you haven't seen Knives Out, the movie, did you see it?
No, but
it is so good, dude.
The only thing I know about it is Chris Evans posted clips of him working with the dogs.
God, the whole point, or well, not the whole point. One of the things is that he's the only one the dogs hate.
Well, so apparently he tweeted out because he felt bad that like his whole image in the movie was that he like hates these dogs, and he is known to be like a big dog lover.
He's like the piece of shit in the movie. He's like the douchebag of
the
the family.
opposite of Captain America,
right?
And he tweeted out saying the only reason in the movie, the only way they got the dogs to hate him was he had peanut butter treats in his pocket in all those scenes. So they were always jumping at him. Yeah. So fun fact.
I always wonder about things like that. That's very interesting because they looked like friendly dogs, like they were just playing, and they were these big German shepherds, and they were like playing with all the other people. And then with Chris Evans, they were just like jumping on him.
He had to hide treats, or he would put tennis balls in his coat pockets.
Oh,
so they were always jumping up at him.
I love that they got to be so playful, the puppies.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you haven't seen that, it's a great movie. I really loved it. I rarely ever watch movies again, but I might just to like kind of, it's like a murder mystery, Agatha Christie, but like modern and like kind of funny. It's really good. Anyway, so go see it.
I wanted to go see it, and then Allison saw it with her parents, so I guess I'm going to see it alone.
I'll see it with you.
Okay.
I'll see it with you.
So really you'll see that with me, and then we'll go metal detecting.
Whoa, this is the best day of my
life. Christmas time is here. Okay. Anyway, my story.
I'm ready.
I have not once even tried to pronounce this creature yet.
Oh, God damn it, Em.
I think it's more fun to do it in front of everyone, so we get a bunch of hate comments.
So Eva gets the emails?
So Eva gets bombarded.
You're welcome, Eva.
So this, apparently there's a name for it when it's the singular creature, and then there's a name for it as a plural creature.
Oh.
So this is you see it?
For God's sake, what in the world?
Kallikanzaros.
Yeah, it looks like Kallikanzaros to me.
And then plural is Kallikanzaroi.
Kallikanzaroi, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to work...
Kanzaroi?
Well, we're going to work with the singular.
Is that Greek? It looks Greek.
Yep, it is a...
Hey, good for me!
It is a Christmas tradition. It's a legend. It's like their version of Krampus, but it's not just in Greece. It's also in Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, and Cyprus.
I almost said Albany, New York.
I know. I
Wouldn't
heard
that be weird if there was just a pocket in upstate New York?
Albany. And Pittsburgh. Okay,
oh
so...
my God.
But Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, and Cyprus all have a different version of this legend. They have different cultural and regional twists on the story, but it's the same creature. So I'm not going to pronounce these, but it is also it's known. It has a different name in each of those countries apparently, and they're all equally confusing for me to pronounce. But here, just so you can see what this looks like.
Holy! I just see a bunch of red lines underneath all the words.
It looks like I just like threw my face into the keyboard. It's like It's a lot of
Skalitangia. That's interesting.
It's a lot.
Kalitanteri.
It's a lot of things where I would make a lot of people mad if I tried to pronounce them. But just know there's like at least 8 names here, and they all
look somewhat alike. Like they all have a similar
they're all
origin.
Spins on each other.
Yeah.
So they apparently Kallikanzaros Kallikanzaros.
Oh dear, here we go.
Kallikanzaros. The Callies, I'm going to call them.
Wait, go back.
Kallikanzaros.
Kallikanzaros.
I think it's Kallikanzaros. Like the
Or
emphasis on the za.
Kallikanzaros, yeah. You just
Okay.
added an extra syllable in there somewhere.
Oh, whoops. Kallikanzaros.
There it is. That sounds right to me.
Sounds right.
I'm like,
If
there
only-
it is. And everyone's like, no.
It sounds more Greek to me than others.
It's Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me. Okay, yikes. I'm sorry to every Greek person listening to this.
I went to Greece once. It's the favorite country beside. Well, I went to Vienna. Vienna is my favorite city, but Greece is my favorite country I've ever visited.
My mom says that Greece is also her favorite country she's ever visited.
Amazing. It was during the riots, so it was a little tough, and we were in a pretty crummy hostel. But otherwise, it was a great place.
I know a lot of people who say that Greece is, even if they haven't gone yet, it's their dream country to visit.
I want to go back so bad. Let's go after we
Okay.
go metal detecting.
Okay, but we'll like sing Mamma Mia the whole way, like true horrible Americans.
I'm just
okay.
gonna keep saying Kallikanzaros.
I'm gonna keep singing Mamma Mia, and maybe they'll like mesh together. You know?
Okay.
So apparently the Kallikanzaros are. I'm impressed I said it so quickly and so easily.
Do you want me to clap every time you do it?
Yeah.
Snaps RAM.
Yeah. So apparently they are goblins, elves, or gnomes. Most references I worked with said that they were goblins.
Okay.
And they appear during the 12 days of Christmas, from the end of December until, I'm not religious, the Epiphany. You know what that is? Mm-hmm. Okay. I did learn what that was, but like I was very blind to that.
Well, there's
being a
so
thing.
many though. Like in Catholicism, there's so many different freaking days.
Well, I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is the Epiphany? And I was like, I'm sure someone out there is rolling their eyes, and it's actually probably many of you.
I doubt it. I feel like we're not like a super strong. I feel like no one expects us to be super religious or, you know.
No. But anyway, if
Okay.
you were expecting me to know, originally I did not.
Okay.
So anyway, the Epiphany is January 6th. And that's when Jesus was baptized, right?
I think so.
That's what the internet told me. Okay.
January 6th. I thought that was when the three wise men. I thought that. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. You were
January 6th is an important day to
You
this
know
story.
better than I do. I didn't Google it.
Uh-oh. Okay. Anyway, it's called the Epiphany.
Just don't tell my dad.
Okay. So there are goblins who show up during those 12 days, and these 12 days are apparently also, if you look back in other cultures and other communities, it's also the winter solstice, and in medieval times it was called Yuletide. So it's depending on what era you're from. If you're listening to this podcast in the 1700s, it might have been called something different than the 12 days of Christmas.
Project Pegasus.
Project Pegasus.
Let's
Are you
bring
listening?
back Yuletide. I like that phrase.
I do too.
Like, why don't we use
Andrew
that?
Basiago, why don't you travel back a couple centuries and let them know we're not changing the name.
Please.
So they are known during these 12 days to sneak into your house in the middle of the night
Sure.
any way they can. So through windows, through chimneys, through
Jesus.
cracks in the wall, anything. By the way, do you know how easily and how scarily mice can get into anything? Do you know they can like literally like get under doors and shit?
Ew. I mean, I guess, right? Like,
Freaks me out.
huh.
Anyway.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess I just don't think about it very often.
Well, we had a friend in Boston who had a mouse infestation,
yeah.
so I learned a lot
That
about
I
mice.
recall, yeah.
I learned a lot about mice that day. So they're known to sneak into your house in the middle of the night, and they'll often even hide in boxes. Like if you have like a package sent to your door, they'll climb into the box so you bring them in without knowing.
Oh, I'd be screwed.
And then in the middle of the night, they will get out of the box and open the door for the rest of them to come in.
Oh my god. Okay, how many? Why do all
Like
of,
Ocean's 11.
why do all of the freaking Christmas tales have like creatures breaking into your home? Like they're all
And banding together.
Santa Claus does it. Krampus does it. Like they all just climb in.
Yeah, it is weird
Elves
that
do it.
in every Christmas fable, we all
Yeah.
just ignore privacy.
There's just like burglary.
Especially like Santa, like, oh, he knows when you're asleep. Like he's like breaking in often. At least he's astral projecting into
and
your
he
house
knows everything
a lot.
about you. It's he's watching you all the time.
Ugh,
It's
yikes.
all very disturbing.
So outside of these 12 days, by the way, outside of these 12 days, they are not on Earth, these creatures. You can't just see
Where
them.
are they?
They are at the center of the Earth.
Oh, they're not on it. They're in it.
Yeah. They are underneath, like underground, and they spend every day of their lives for eternity outside of these 12 days trying to saw down the tree that holds up the world. So, which is also known as the world tree or the tree of life.
Right, right.
I know about the tree of life through my stepmom.
Sure.
That sounded familiar to me. I was like, oh, I can branch onto this all of a sudden. So their whole thing is that they just want to saw down this tree that holds up the world so that it will kilter over and then there'll be chaos in the world. So
That's fun.
they do this to mess with, they want to do this to mess with the balance of everything and topple the cosmos, allowing mischief to take over.
Topple the Cosmos.
Yeah, I like that phrasing
My
a
new
lot.
band coming out next spring. See us live.
The Toppling Cosmos. Okay.
Ooh.
So we could have a signature drink called the Toppling Cosmos.
Yes.
It could get...
Or
and then
a toppled Cosmo. It sounds like... Yeah, I'm into it.
we could figure it
Put
out.
some nutmeg on there.
Eva, write that down.
Don't put nutmeg in a Cosmo. That sounds terrible.
I don't know what a Cosmo tastes like. I just know that Carrie
Very
Bradshaw drinks them.
sweet. So does Ellen Schiefer. Ellen Boswell.
Oh, how
Yeah,
about that?
good for her.
They saw all year long, and right when the tree is about to collapse, so they usually are this close to getting it to actually fall over, and then right when it's about to collapse, they, I guess, disappear and reappear on Earth, and that's the beginning of the 12 days.
Well, that's like Sisyphean, right?
Maybe. What the hell is this?
Like Sisyphus. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm so clueless. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like a Greek character, but he would always roll. He had to, for eternity, roll a boulder up a hill, and then every
that's
time
hell.
he got to the top, it would roll back. And so,
Oh, yes, it's exactly like that.
Sisyphean. It's the best word. But
I thought you had a lisp all of a sudden.
if I had a list, that would have been way hard to say.
That's true.
But yeah, it's basically like, it means like futile work that will never get you. Like you work and work and work, but it will never get you anywhere.
Yes, then you are spot on.
Oh, cool.
Wow, that's just a word I never even knew existed. I can't wait to ask you to pronounce that again later.
I love that word. I never get to use it, so I'm thrilled right now.
That's like when you learned the word penultimate. You said it so many fucking times.
Now I got to relearn that word, penultimate.
Yeah, that was
The penultimate Sisyphean nightmare.
holy shit. Even make that the title of the show. Okay, so yeah, all year long they are experiencing a Sisyphean.
There it is.
And so they're right about to chop down the tree, and then right before it's like signals that the 12 days of Christmas are about to begin. And then they show up in Earth, and when they return to the center of the Earth after the Epiphany, that's also when the priests in the town like purify everything. It's like they'll go around. I guess this is not an American thing, but the priests will go around and bless all of the houses in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's like a purification of the whole town after the Epiphany. So on that day, when the priests are going to bless the entire town, that's when all of these creatures go back to the center of the earth and they see that the tree has healed itself and is fully formed.
So close.
So
maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Starts on. So while on Earth, they try to cause as much mischief as possible. So they'll do anything from like making people sick to like curdling the milk, or you'll lose your items, or they'll knock things over. It's kind of one of those, kind of like the Hodag story, where just if anything happens, it's kind of cultural to just blame it on the Hodag.
Oh, I would use that excuse every 5 seconds.
So during the 12 days of Christmas, every single time anything happens to you, you can just kind of blame it on the Kallikanzaros.
I love it. I'm going to start doing it.
I think we do it with the Mercury in
But
retrograde.
that's true. That's our modern day. Yeah, you're right.
So imagine the 12 days are just like Mercury in retrograde, but with demons.
Oh, no.
So they will... Oh, yeah. Where was I? I lost my place.
Demons with little saws, too. They sound dangerous.
So their behavior actually is, even though it sounds pretty demonic to me, that their whole plan in life is to try to topple over the cosmos and cause mischief, they aren't actually evil. They're known to be more...
They sound like mischievous.
Yeah, like elves. I think that's how they end up being
like little
compared to
goblins
elves.
or whatever.
A lot of their behavior has been compared to drunk people at a pub.
This is why I need the excuse.
So a lot of the stuff that they do, it just ends up being pranks and like just inconveniencing you.
Right.
There have been, based on where you live, some stories do say that they are more nefarious and they do actually murder people sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, it seems that they're just like mischievous creatures.
Okay.
Here is a quote. I forget where I got this from, beyond Google.
Super. Google said,
someone who was in an article on Google said, They cause mischief. They intimidate people. Urinate in flower beds. That sounds like a drunk person.
That is 1,000,000%.
Spoil food, tip things over, and break furniture. They devour the Christmas pork, befoul all the water and wine and food, and leave the occupants half dead with fright.
Oh.
So just scare you.
Okay.
So there is no set appearance on what these creatures look like. Again, that also changes regionally, but basically like what you would imagine a demon to look like.
Really?
They're small, black fur, red eyes. Somehow they're mostly blind. I don't know what that means. Like, I know what it means.
Maybe
but
they're just clumsy and everyone just thinks they're doing it on purpose.
Wait a minute. Maybe they just aren't trying to like live 12 days on Earth and just keep knocking into shit.
And they're like, I want to try pork. Oops.
Right.
I curdled the milk again. I don't know.
I like how those two things must go hand in hand.
I pissed in a flower bed and the pork went bad.
They have long black tails, and they actually do speak with a lisp, which is funny that we brought that up
Ask
earlier.
them to say maybe that's part of their curse.
Maybe they're just trying to... Maybe they no longer have to be at the center of the earth if they can just say that Greek god that their story
this is
resembles.
such a Sisyphean nightmare we live in, and then they're like freed from their
Right.
captivity.
That's their chain. But they'll just
we should
always...
write a children's book. I know we say it a lot, but this time we really should write a children's book.
I have ideas already written down for that one, so don't
Great,
worry.
great.
I'll get you thrown into the
Super.
mix
I
there.
have a lot of cautionary tales to contribute.
Don't worry, I'm on it. So they apparently, wherever you live and wherever the story is told, there is a version of it being a hairy-bodied creature, sometimes having horse legs, sometimes
Oh.
having boar tusks. Sometimes the tail is a rat tail, but it's like proportionally long enough for a human. So it's
Ew. Oh wait, so they're big.
yeah. So sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big,
Oh.
but they have a proportionally long rat tail.
That's foul, truly.
Speaking of foul, they are known to smell horrible.
Good.
And they have protruding enlarged male sex characteristics.
Whoa, protruding.
Protruding.
Yikes.
That's enough to scare me.
Yeah, me too.
So they are drawn to larger, more elaborate Christmas decorations. The more invested you are in the holiday, the more likely they are
That's terrible.
to. So the happier you are, the more likely they want to
wanna
ruin it.
fuck
They're
you.
like the Grinch.
They are, yeah.
They're like little Grinches.
Oh my god, but like so much creepier.
And like also the Grinch is also naked, but he is not protruding. Like he's
not.
modest.
Thank God.
He's at
'cause
least modest.
My childhood would have been a lot worse if that were the case.
So they have an enormous sweet tooth apparently, and when they break into your fridge, they are more likely to go for the desserts.
Mm-hmm.
But when they are on their own, they eat small animals like mice, worms, snails, and frogs.
Okay, all right, interesting.
But when they can get into like the pumpkin pie, they're gonna do it, you know.
Sure, I mean, who isn't?
So they are afraid of light and fire, kind of like a vampire, and they only come out at night, kind of like a vampire. Anyone born during these 12 days, so let's say like the 12 days where they're out, if you have a baby...
That's Blaze the January 2nd.
Okay, so this is about Blaze.
Okay.
Blaze, are you listening? No.
No. I like how quickly. Nah.
So you might want to warn him that he is in danger of transforming into one each Christmas for only one day.
You might want to warn me, is what you're saying.
Well, if all of a sudden like all of your like pumpkin pie is gone,
finally have an excuse.
if there's pee in your flower bed,
again,
Blaze
I finally
might have been up to
both
something.
of those things are definitely true.
And let me guess, he's been telling you it was Gio this whole time.
No, it was me, but I have an excuse. Is what I'm saying. I finally have somebody to blame it on.
Oh my God, that was good, Christine.
What? Listen, I'm just on board
That one tickled
for
me.
someone to
That was good.
blame.
Okay, so anyway, if you were born in those 12 days, you now have a permanent excuse every Christmas day of why things are just going ballistic.
That's kind of nice.
To prevent this transformation, so if you want to keep Blaze from it being in your flower bed,
Yeah.
you have to bind him in garlic or straw or burn off his toenails. Here's the thing. You have to do this when they're a child, so you're already late to the game. Once they've hit adulthood, it's too late. You have to do this when they're a baby. Bind them in garlic and straw.
Don't burn your children's feet.
Well, you can clip them off and throw them in a fire. You don't have to like
burn their toenails.
You don't have to
off.
like dip their toes in gasoline or anything.
Well, you said I thought you meant like you have to burn all the toenails.
I know
just
what
the
I said.
clippings.
I'm correcting it. Yeah, just the clippings.
Oh my God, I was like, don't do this thing that Emma's telling you to do.
I'm not condoning anything. I'm just giving information.
But
and
also
you do
don't
what
do
you
that
want.
other thing because that's just gross.
So interesting though, it is again some vampiric inspiration because to bind a baby in garlic to keep them
Sure.
from this monster.
Also,
So
don't do that.
that sounds kind of tasty to me. Do that if you want to
For
wrap
a
me in garlic. Let's do
baby?
it.
Oh, oh no.
Anyone born on a Saturday, so this is year round. If you're born on a Saturday, apparently you can see and talk to them like they're spirits. So
Wait, if who's born on a...
if anyone is born on a Saturday,
any Saturday.
then during those 12 days, you can see them walking around.
I wonder
and
what
hear
day of the
them.
week I was born.
I was born on a Wednesday.
I think I was... No. Wait, yeah, because our birthdays are a year apart,
Yeah.
right?
Well, then that would be, I think you may have been born on Tuesday.
Oh, could be. Well, I was a day after you, though.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
I
so
think I was
you,
born on a Wednesday.
look at us. We're hump day babies.
Amazing.
Yay, we're little humps. Okay,
We're
so
little humpies, but we can't see those little demons.
that's exactly right.
Sad.
So, well, also probably good for us. I'm excited to not be able to see them.
Those rat tails sound awful.
If you know someone who's born on a Saturday, and also a Saturday like during these 12 days, you're in trouble because they can see them and become one.
Oh, they could become one too?
Well, if you're
Oh,
born in
and
those
in
12,
those 12 days. I see.
if you've got the combo package.
Yeah.
What day was Blaze born?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Should I check?
Yeah.
Okay. January 2nd, 1990. Was a Tuesday. We were Wednesday. Wow,
Could have been a
crazy.
triple hump.
1 day apart.
So, okay, so congratulations, Blaze.
Oh well.
So here's an interesting thing about these Kallikanzaros. Jesus.
Kanzaroi. Isn't that the
Sure,
plural?
that's the plural. Yeah, good. Thank you. None of this is probably right. Oh my god. Okay, so interesting about them, their wives. I didn't know they could get married. I did not know that they had partners.
I thought they all had male protruding. I mean, not that I'm saying you can't be a wife, but I'm saying
You're like they could be straight
traditionally
or gay.
speaking. But if they have wives, you know.
Apparently, they have wives only. So this is I would
very
say
interesting
an
twist.
older folklore. I don't know.
But they don't all have protruding male genitalia.
I think they are all straight male Kallikanzaros.
Right, but so there's no
It's Roy.
female ones.
Right. So
sorry.
So
I think I stepped in too early here.
their wives, first of all, one, they have wives. Surprise one. Surprise two, they are all human females.
Okay, never mind. I get it now. I was like, how do they marry each other and have wives if traditionally probably
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I am picking up what you're throwing
like
down.
nowadays, sure, go for it. I think back then.
Their wives are all human females.
This is starting to disturb me.
Whom-
Well, I mean, Blaze's wife is also a human female, so it's starting to make a lot of sense.
Wait a minute.
Shit.
Oh boy.
Oh shit.
Oh boy. We're piecing it together.
God damn it.
One by one.
Here I am.
It's too late. Throw some garlic at them next time.
Mm-hmm.
So their wives are human females whom they manage to seduce, and they seduce them away from the family, apparently.
Oh no.
And they only like to have male children. So
Uh-oh.
if nothing bad happens, like nothing awful happens if they have daughters, but if they have sons, their midwife, apparently there's midwives down here,
Jesus, okay.
who could be human or not, I'm not sure anymore. If they have a son, they give the midwife a basket of gold coins as a thank you. Because she fucking gave birth
Yeah,
to the
wait
son.
a second.
But if they have a daughter, then the midwife gets a basket of ashes. I wouldn't even want that basket, first of all.
Strange.
Be like, give me nothing.
Give me nothing.
So one belief is that the Kallikanzaros, or Kallikanzaros, they apparently were ill-fated, quote, ill-fated individuals that were changed into demons.
Oh, so they were people. Interesting.
So that's one theory, is that they
Oh.
started as people and then were karmically they did so much wrongdoing that they became these creatures.
And then these poor wives from Earth just get like fucking plucked from their houses.
Yeah, right,
So they
like-
did nothing wrong. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They may be actually another theory is that they might be a cautionary tale about like night terrors.
Oh.
That if you see something running around your house or fucking things up and you can't control it, maybe it's actually a night terror, or maybe people had night terrors and these are an inspiration for now a cautionary tale because someone witnessed something. So they don't know. It's just a couple thoughts. Some of their traits do match traditional lore, like I said, with vampires, especially the garlic and not being able to go out in the sun
Right.
and only showing up at night. And there's a couple other things that are kind of vampiric about them, which I'll get to in a little bit. But so a big theory is that these were inspired by, like, basically if a vampire and a demon had a baby.
What a fun game that is to play at the holiday table.
It's like if they took like a 23andMe, like I'm 65% demon.
Oh my god, I'm 0.001%. Yeah, that's like a really weird would you rather game.
Many people have resorted. This is another way that's kind of vampiric. One of the ways that people have tried to prevent these creatures from coming into their house during those 12 days is they will start nailing crosses to their front doors, or they will draw crosses out of ash.
Okay.
Or they'll burn frankincense.
Like Ash Wednesday.
Yeah. So there's a few ways to try to keep demons and vampires away. But apparently, like, even though this is a folklore, apparently a few centuries ago, like, people took this seriously and really were nailing crosses to the door and were actually kind of worried about this creature. And now I think it's slowly become an urban legend.
Sure.
But so here are some of the differences between them.
Is it raining? I'm sorry. I'm like really thrown.
Is it raining?
Yeah, I think so. Like, do you hear that?
I just thought the house was breaking.
I did too for a minute, because like
I just thought for sure the ceiling was going to cave in.
It makes more sense that the house would crumble than it would rain in LA. So I was like, we're in trouble.
Dead serious. I thought that the foundation was crumbling before us, and my first thought was, at least we'll get it on camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, just keep going.
I thought at least I have this nice cushion on my head, this stupid Santa hat. No, it's raining. Wow. What a Christmas miracle.
Christmas time is here. Wow.
It's like
this really is a Christmas, a gift.
It's not a white Christmas. It's a wet Christmas.
Wait. I got so excited.
You beatboxing?
But that's what I meant.
Oh, I see. I thought we were starting like a rap wet Christmas.
Oh my.
A wet Christmas.
Wow.
A wet, hot
It's beginning
American
to
Christmas.
look a lot like rain. So, and here's a couple differences between these creatures based on the country. So in Bulgaria, these are called Kallikanzaros.
Okay.
I'm sure that's not how it's said, but that's what I'm
I'm
going to
sure
say.
it's exactly how it's said.
And they are sometimes seen as a one-eyed creature standing on one leg, and they have a horse head, but on a man body.
Do they just hop?
I guess so.
Oh.
Do you gallop with one leg? Maybe. I don't know. Someone who rides horses tell me. Also, they shapeshift into a dog, a man, a sheep, or a calf.
Okay.
And so apparently in Bulgaria, when they leave by the Epiphany, ashes from a Yule log will be sprinkled over everyone's crops to make sure that they still have like good energy around them and they weren't damaged during the time these creatures were around.
That's kind of cool.
And it like promotes good produce. And so it is kind of a sign that when the produce rises and it's all good, it means that the creatures have definitely left.
Okay, cool.
Okay. In Albania, they're called kakuth. Mm-hmm. And they kind of are more like zombies. They're undead corpses.
Oh.
And they go around in January and they have chains around them and deadly breath.
Just like you.
Just like me. I really do have deadly breath in the morning. It is bananas. There's something wrong with me. If there's one thing I hate about myself, it's I really have awful morning breath.
That's all you hate about yourself. You're living a good life. Don't worry about it.
I am, but I think there's something wrong with me. I really just have, it's like I ate a dead animal.
Halitosis?
It's very bad.
Halitosis?
I don't know. I brush my teeth and shit. Okay. Fun fact, another version in Albania.
Oh, get you a electric toothbrush.
I hear they're the moves these days.
Throwback.
I feel like this is step one into becoming our parents, where we're trying to unironically use
completely
phrases that are cool now.
I already
apparently,
ruined it.
do you know what I learned from when I was at, this could be totally wrong. Maybe my cousin was like fucking trolling me.
I'm telling you, I already don't know it, so.
I think my cousin was fucking with me because I have not heard of this, but I also don't surround myself with teenagers. But they're apparently, you know how they were saying like, this is lit?
Yeah.
Apparently now it has gone from this is lit, or I think it either started or switched into this is fire. You remember when people would be like, that's fire?
Yeah.
Then it became this is lit. Apparently it's turned into another thing since then. And then since that phrase, it's now this is scorched. Instead of saying this is lit,
What?
people say that's scorched.
Is that for real, guys?
I don't know. Like, I makes it sounds like it's increasing in fire progress.
I'm worried about where we're going with this.
Well, my uncle was like, "So is the next thing ashes? Like this is ashes?"
I was gonna say that, and then I was like, "Don't say that."
But then he was like, so next thing will be this is ashes, and then after that, the thing will be this is phoenix.
oh, for God's sake!
So that's what my 40-something-year-old uncle has to say about the matter.
I think
I agree with him.
I trust him more than the teens.
So if it is that scorched, let me know.
Let us know if a toothbrush.
It sounds believable.
Electric toothbrushes are scorched. That's what I always say.
That's truly what I always say as of 2 minutes ago.
Until like in 2 days when it's not what you say anymore, and I have to learn a new phrase.
Anyway, maybe I should try some scorched moves on the electric toothbrush.
My sister taught me a lot of things, like e-girl. Do you know that?
The fuck is an e-girl?
I'm telling you, everybody apparently
like a girl that is on the internet?
sort of, but it's sort of like it reminds me of like the MySpacers today, like from our generation. But there's also all these other things, like they wear baggy shirts, and there's a whole look.
What's the difference between that and a visco girl?
A visco is a preppy girl.
Okay.
A visco, like a e-girl's like an emo, like MySpace girl.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I mean, not
So
really.
you would be an e-girl, not a visco girl. But I
Yeah.
thought visco girl just meant like basic bitch who has like reusable straws
very
and shit.
specific.
Oh.
They want to save the turtles.
Sure.
I learned all this. They also, I think, wear oversized t-shirts. They have hydro flasks, but you have to have the right size. My sister got one for her birthday and was like, "This is the wrong size." And I'm like, "For God's sakes!" They use metal straws, and they say, and they say, "Oops, I did it." Nope. What is it?
Oh my god. Okay. No, I know what you're saying. And I oop.
And I oop.
And by the way,
Oops, I did it again.
and I oop came from a gay man accidentally sitting on his balls. Let's be clear.
Seriously?
Yes,
My
he-
sister didn't know. No wonder she didn't know. Okay.
It's a I don't know if it was a Vine. I think it came after Vine,
I
but
think it was a TikTok.
I don't fucking know anymore.
And then my friend Celine was with us. She's like, "A TikTok?" I was like, "Don't even start with this. This is like, there's so much loaded stuff here."
Okay, no, it's a video of it's either pardon me, it may not be a gay man. It was someone in drag. It was male presenting in drag. So I don't know if there was I don't know how they identify. But it's came across as someone in drag who was in the middle of having like an argument or like making a point to the internet and like videotaping themselves. And he's like adjusting himself in his chair and he goes, and oop, and like accidentally sits on his balls and it hurts.
I imagine it does hurt.
I would not know. But that's where it came from. And a lot of people don't know because the video cuts off after and I oop. But if you watch the extended version,
now
he like explains what happened.
Now all the Visco girls say, "And I oop," when they drop something.
Yes.
And they say, which I don't like that. It sounds like parcel tongue to me.
It sounds like you're trying to call over a cat.
That's what I'm saying. And then there's also the opposite of e-girl or e-boy is, which e-person, come on, it's 2019. Get
I know.
it together.
If you're going to change it up, like
on.
we've got non-binaries listening.
Like in MySpace time, we weren't that woke. Do we say woke anymore? Probably
I don't
not.
think they do. Maybe they've changed it from woke to like up and ready.
To like coked out. No, don't say that. Sorry, don't listen. Don't, teen, stop listening.
I get where you were going. Like it
I'm
rhymed.
trying to think of like the,
Well,
the escalation.
Instead of it being lit, it's scorched. So if it's not woke, it's like one of those like.
oh yeah. The A-B. If A equals
It's like
B,
one of those and like things that they made us do with standardized testing
Yes!
of like if this means this, then this means this.
if A equals B and B equals C, then B, yeah, all that bullshit. Yeah. If tired means. Anyway, yes. Do you do those? Do you know what a standardized test is? Oh, the other thing. So sorry. The opposite of e-person, e-girl or e-boy, is soft girl or soft boy, and they wear a lot of blush, and they're very like feminine, and wear like
So like the opposite of does E come from emo?
no, it comes from e like internet, I think, like
email.
Email. They're like, what's
wouldn't-
an email? God damn it. They're like, isn't it called Gmail? I'm telling you guys.
People must think that we're talking about the wrong letter. Some
Right?
child right now must be like, why do you say email when it's Gmail?
Oh yeah, I remember like I it's not even a surprise anymore. They don't know what a floppy disk is. We've literally talked about it on this show, but there's some things where I'm like a CD-ROM, and my sister's like, I don't understand, and I'm like, this hurts me deeply, deeply hurts.
Okay.
Oh, apparently Instagrams have themes now. Did you know
What?
this?
Themes?
My sister looks at Celine and goes, "What's your theme?" And Celine goes, "My theme of what?" And my sister's like, "Your Instagram theme." And we were like, "I don't know what that means." She's like, "Every Instagram has a theme." And I'm like, "Mine is yellow. I don't know. She's like, that's not a theme. I was like, well,
what's
I think
a
it means like
theme?
the filter you use. So like, you know how some influencers have like all the same color scheme?
Oh.
It's like if you use a certain... Do you know what VSCO comes from? I learned so much. VSCO is a photo editing app on your phone.
Right, that I know.
Oh, okay. I learned that.
I knew what VSCO was, but that was like if I were to graduate in the school of like pop culture internet stuff, VSCO was like my last class I took. I don't know anything past VSCO.
Sure, yeah. Me
Since
neither.
that became a word, I don't know anything that's new.
Scorched.
Like the last cool thing I ever learned now, I guess, was scorched, but that could
But
literally be a
jury's
fucking
out.
joke.
The jury's out on that one. We'll see if that's actually real.
I don't know anything beyond VSCO Girl. If anything new has come up since then, I don't understand it. If it's not on Twitter, I don't know what's going on.
E-girl, e-boy. But somebody at a Halloween party this year was like, I was like, oh, who are you dressed as? She's like, an e-girl. And I was like, I love her. And she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, I'm not cool. I don't understand. I thought it was a character from like a comic book.
Now I know how my parents felt, though, when I'd be like, wow, you're so lame. How do you not know what this is? And my parents were like, you have no idea how cool I was back when it was my fucking time to shine.
You look like an idiot.
Now it's like, I could rule the roost back in the day.
I was like, I learned coding to put skulls on my MySpace page, so like, fuck off.
Yeah, I bet you can't fucking do it on your themed Instagram.
Yeah, you put a theme. Pink skulls.
Anyway.
We had, you know what, Selena and I talked about this. We're like, we had MySpaces where you had one song that was like your profile song.
Yeah.
And it would be like My Chemical Romance. And since we didn't have Spotify, we would just refresh the page and listen to our own MySpace to hear the song.
That's the truth.
That's how sad it was back then.
The thing that, not to like go off on this tangent, but here we are.
Oh, yeah.
I found my old iPod, like my very first iPod I ever got.
Oh, yeah.
And it had the click wheel where it wasn't even the touch one where you could go in a circle.
Oh, it was just buttons.
It was literally, you had to, if you had 500 songs, you had to click.
Wait, was it a
next.
shuffle? Is that why?
No, it was like the old, like this thick of an iPod. And it wasn't it was like literally, it looked like the mini iPods.
Right.
It was like that, but the version before that, where before it was a touch wheel,
right?
You literally had to click next 500 times if you wanted to get to the 500th
you had to click
song.
Yes, exactly.
So I remember being like, "Oh, I love this song. I have it on my iPod. Here, give me a second. Click, 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 click," and then you would have to wait like forever to get there. Anyway, back to Bulgaria.
Our parents are like, "Listen, fuck off. We had to go to a record store, so
yeah, exactly. And now records are back, so eat your words, Mom.
Teens." Can't live with them. Can't live without them.
One day, the original click iPod will be in again. I promise.
I will.
Except the original iPod is now. First of all, if anyone out there thinks that they're cool and retro and they're getting the original iPod from stores, that's actually the iPod Video.
Yeah.
And apparently they've been remarketed and they're called the original iPod.
No.
That was like the 8th generation.
No,
there were
no.
so many iPods before that one, but apparently they're
with
calling
no
that,
color, no video.
They're apparently
nothing.
calling it the original iPod. So, and it's
posers.
Anyway,
that is not scorched.
I remember I had Mean Girls on my video iPod, and I remember it would, once you got through half the movie, the battery would die.
Yeah, you couldn't watch very much of it.
Okay. Bulgaria. Yes, it's a one-eyed, one-legged horse man who apparently also shapeshifts into dogs and sheep.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and then the ashes. That's where we got lost.
Well,
okay.
it was raining. I got distracted in the ashes. Yeah.
So Albania, right? There's kind of like zombies. They go around with chains. They have bad breath like me. And fun fact about Albania: there's another version of them of this creature called the Karkankual, Karkankual or something. And they were known in their description to wear iron clothing, which is why now in Albania, their version of armor is called Kemish Karkankual.
No way.
Oh, wait, I'm saying it totally wrong, but apparently your armor is named after
That's so cool.
the clothes that this creature would wear.
That's very interesting.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
In Greece, which is, I think, the most common version of this story, they would steal your food from anywhere they could, hence breaking into your house. But they were also known to steal it from your fireplace, and so people would leave fried honey cakes for them to eat either in the fireplace after the fact as like a thank you, now please leave, or they would literally throw them on the roof so that way as they were leaving Earth, they could eat honey cakes off your roof without breaking into your house.
It's like the old timey like Christmas with their cranks. They're trying to like put up the Christmas lights, but instead they're all just like, "Hey neighbor," like throwing food onto the roof. Apparently,
if you ever left an opening available for them to get in, they would take that opportunity to try to steal food. So they were leaving it outside of the property.
I
so
see.
that way you could eat there.
I see.
Also, apparently, storage rooms, if they were dirty, it was an invitation for them to continue dirtying it because apparently you already didn't respect that space anyway, so they could be as mischievous as they wanted.
You started it.
And if it was clean, they would take that as a sign of like, oh, you care about this room. I don't want to dirty it up too much for you. And then they would.
That's very nice of them.
They would apparently leave wishing the room 1,000 goods, like wishing you.
That's
like
just what your mother would say to be like.
That's what I thought. I was
Clean
like,
your damn room.
I was like, this is literally just a step off into like a parent being like, the monsters are gonna get your room if you don't keep it clean.
But if the milk goes bad, it's not my fault.
Right.
I mean, really, Mom?
In Serbia, the 12 days of Christmas, so they're the unbaptized days, quotes, aka when demonic forces are most
God
active.
forbid.
So people at least in the Serbia story, they don't go out late at night during these 12 days because if you do, one of them will jump on your back and force you to carry them until sunrise.
Fantastic.
So
What a fun.
again, another cautionary tale from my mother, probably like, don't go out when I'm already in bed. I don't want to worry about you and the monster's jumping on your back.
And your poor back.
Also in Serbia, it's especially worse if you try to commit adultery during these 12 days. If you sneak out to meet someone late at night, apparently one of these monsters is assigned to always sit on your door frame on the front door of your house.
Oh.
And they will jump from the door frame if they see someone leave and know that you're about to commit adultery. And they will jump onto your back, hit you with a stick, dig their sharp nails into your neck, and force you to run throughout the nearby forests all night until sunrise.
Do you think they're just a bunch of people running through the forest, like committing adultery?
These
to
sound
commit adultery.
mischievous, but they seem also very protective of loyalty. So
Yeah, they seem to be very moral creatures, like
Right.
ethical
it's
creatures.
like, I'm not going to mess up your clean room. Also, don't cheat on your wife.
Like, if you're virtuous, you're fine.
Right. But also, please leave honey cakes on the roof.
Yeah, we're hungry.
So in Turkey, if you were to... One of the stories is that one of them will actually lead you astray in the middle of the night, imitating voices of your loved ones so that you'll walk out into the woods. I think Turkey is where people die because of these creatures.
Great.
So they'll imitate voices so you'll go walking in the woods to go find your loved ones, and then you get lost and freeze to death.
Well, that's dark.
Their word for this creature is a Kallikanzaros, which apparently translates into some version of werewolf, vampire, and Kara in the beginning comes from black. So black werewolf or black vampire. And there's also another word, the word that they go by called konkalos, which apparently means bloodsucker or werewolf.
Cute.
So that's where that name comes from. But most people say that the name is derived from the Greek phrase, which means beautiful centaur.
Oh. That's nice.
That's kind.
Yeah.
They apparently look like small Sasquatch, and they hide in dark corners. This is a general fear that people have with these creatures.
Okay.
Apparently this is across the board. I'm not too sure, but as far as I know, it's across the board. They look like small Sasquatch sometimes that will hide in dark corners or under streetlights that went out. And they will ask passerbys, if you're walking home late at night and you're not supposed to, they will call you over and ask you a question. And no matter what the question is, if you get it wrong, you die.
What?
So if they ask you, like, what's your name? If you get it wrong, you die. If they ask you, like,
They
a
ask
math
you,
problem.
What's Sisyphean mean?
Oh, I'd be dead.
What's a rhombus? Well, we're both dead.
Listen, you and I. So apparently there's a little cheat code here. If they ever ask you a question, no matter what the question is, if you say Kara, which in Turkey means black, if you say Kara to all of their responses, then apparently you survive and they leave you alone or they run away.
Okay, that's easy enough.
So, like I said, they will lure you into the forest if you can't shake yourself out of the trance. So you do have, if they are calling you over, as long as you can kind of break your focus on them, then you can be safe. If you are outside and see one at night, if you say the phrase, apparently you're supposed to say this like in other languages, but in English I'm going to translate it to woods, logs, torches burning. They will leave you alone.
Scorched.
It's scorched. You're about to be scorched if you come near me.
Woods, logs, torches burning. That seems
Because
dark.
they're scared of fire.
So, I see. Okay.
So if you say those things, it's like, okay, everything's on fire over here. Don't come over.
Sorry.
So here are some actual tips across the board to save yourself from the Kallikanzaros. If you hang the lower jaw the lower jaw of a pig behind the front door or inside of the chimney.
Thank God, I already have that set up.
Good. If you hang a tangled strand of flax on the front door.
Okay.
Apparently, so I'll explain that in a second when I get to another part. But remember, a tangled strand of flax. Also, if you scatter pancakes on the roof, like I said, that will keep them busy.
That's my favorite. It's so stupid.
When the village priest blesses all the water on the Epiphany, then the entire town is safe. And the main one, which beyond marking your door with a cross, the main one is to leave a colander on your doorsteps, which this is the same as the tangled strand of flax, because apparently one of the things that is interesting about the Kallikanzaros is that they can't count higher than 3. They won't say the number 3 because it's a holy number for them.
Well, it's a holy number in the Trinity. Maybe that's
sure.
Why.
So they won't say the number 3. So
it's probably like
they can't.
They can't do it or something.
So if you leave something like a strand of frayed flax or a colander, or something with a lot of holes or wisps, they will stand there all night trying to count it.
1, 2, 1, 2.
They'll just keep going 1, 2, 1, 2, and they'll have to keep starting over. So if you leave something with a lot of holes or strands or something, if you leave that on your front door,
begs to be counted,
then they will not be able to enter because they'll be too busy counting.
Intriguing.
Also, if you hang sweets or food off of your chimney, although a lot of people will actually say that you should literally leave like fire in your chimney so they don't come down your chimney. I don't know why you would entice them with food unless you wanted them in.
That's a valid point.
If the household owns a black rooster, for some reason they won't approach in the first place.
Okay.
I think because I don't know why if it has to be a black rooster, but if a rooster's like making their noises in the morning, then that lets them know that the sun is rising and they're afraid of being outside during the sun.
You'd think that'd be a nice alarm clock for them, though.
Yeah, I don't understand. Also, if you sprinkle holy water around each room once a day with a basil wrapped cross,
sure,
you should be fine. Yum. Another one is if you burn a smelly shoe over the fire.
Oh no, don't do that. Do the
foul
basil
smell
one.
will go through the house and keep them away because it smells so bad. It'll also keep me away.
I was gonna say the first part's true. The house will smell really bad. I don't know about the second part.
So to stop them from coming down the chimney, this is my favorite fun fact of all this, is to burn a very large log and burn it for 12 days straight. And this actually ties in with the tradition of the Yule log.
Oh.
So since it's happening during Yule tide, put a log down. I guess it's called the Yule log then. And since it's burning, it keeps all of the creatures away.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
So here are some fun facts real quick that have nothing to do with information about them.
Fantastic.
Just random fun facts. The Gringotts goblins in Harry Potter are referred to as these in the Greek translations.
No way.
So if you read the Greek version of Harry
Hey,
Potter...
but those things can count money like nobody's business.
They are useful, yes.
So I don't know about this counting thing.
Okay, wait a minute. That's the truth.
Telling you.
Apparently, a reference to the Kallikanzaros of modern Greece is made in H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Whisperer in Darkness. That's fun.
It's very fun.
I found it. Also, H.P. Lovecraft, I always think is a literal Harry Potter character, which I know
God.
is not right. It just sounds like my first thought is always that sounds like something J.K. Rowling would say.
Also HP, like Harry Potter.
Also, Lovecraft sounds like the end.
Luna Lovegood, HP, Harry Potter. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I know it's not, just so we're clear. I know it's not, but my first thought is always that it's a J.K. Rowling character.
That makes sense.
Potential descendants of these creatures are called the Koboloi, and they were companions of Dionysus.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun. Speaking of Greek.
Very fun.
And once, speaking of Greek stories again, once they apparently annoyed Heracles so badly that he tried to capture them, but then they shapeshifted into looking so cute that he let them go.
That would work on me every time.
And the Kallikanzaros the Kallikanzaros were on NBC's show Grimm for their Christmas episode in 2014.
Okay. I didn't see that, but
I had to watch it at my old work when I would
oh right,
when I had to watch TV for a living, which was fun.
And we complained to you guys every day about our work jobs.
But I used to
I wrote TV, you watched TV. What
but interesting, combo. I did have to watch that episode, so full circle. Aww. And that is some information about the Kallikanzaros.
Yay!
Okay,
I like it. Very good.
Thank you. Sorry for our weird rant about technology at some point.
Guys, keep this in mind for next year when we all tweet out, did we ever cover those weird Greek demons? And you guys need to like tell us what episode
Did we ever
it was.
complain about technology? Can you tell us
Can you
exactly
tell
where that
us?
was?
We don't remember. And then they're like, yeah, every fucking episode.
That sounds right.
We're so over it.
That checks out.
Okay, guys, so I have a holiday tale for you. It's very fucked up, and I'm so sorry.
A holiday.
A holiday
like we said
tale.
last time.
Yeah, Em's trying to make that happen. We'll see if it works.
I'll keep saying it until people hate it, and then it's still a thing.
So here's what I have to say. So I, like I explained, did the Instagram close friends to all our patrons. I asked them to please send in holiday topics for me to cover for this episode. So I'm going to read some of my favorites that I got that I did not use because they made me laugh or they were interesting. So here's some favorites. Liv Tompkins suggested Mall Santas.
Oh.
The Well Witch suggested a channel that I'm so thrilled I know about called Homicide for the Holidays on Oxygen.
Oxygen has the
Sounds
best
about
stuff.
right. Yep. They have the punniest shows. My Name is Crystal suggested... oh, wait. What did I do?
Did it go away by accident? Did you delete it?
My Name is Crystal. I put thelineup.com/Christmas murders. So maybe they just suggested
Maybe it's just
that
a link.
list. Yeah. Megan Mixon says the Frosted Tips epidemic.
Ooh. That is something
It
that's...
is an epidemic. Pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Holidays. Dixie Baby 89 and Mrs. Joe Cap said Bad Santas. Belle Not Bella said How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Also quite a harrowing tale.
That actually would have been a true crime of him when he went to the post office and stole everyone's gifts.
I mean, and when
You
the
really-
icebox.
You really should have told the story but changed the name so I didn't know what was going
Shit,
on.
that would have been fun.
I would have been like, what? I can't believe
he had
that
this
happened.
really cute dog. His heart had some serious
I
problems.
would have figured it out by the time his heart grew 3 times the size.
No, I would have said he had like a enlarged heart.
Like he had, oh yeah, oh.
Yeah.
Do it again anyway.
I'll do it in a couple years. Somebody remind me.
I'm not going to remember it next Christmas. Do it next Christmas.
Someone who's binging this a year from now.
Right. If
Just
you
email me right now.
If this happens to be December 2020 or November 2020 and you're hearing this, I don't remember anymore. Please
I don't
tell
either.
Christine
I don't
to cover
either.
this.
So message me, please. Great idea.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Megan Haley 89 says a real Grinch that stole Christmas. Okay. Call Me Brittany says Killer Santas. Andrew Olson says Death by a Lemon. And finally, Hannah Conda says make one up about elves stealing. Which I
Huh.
guess you kind of did. So
I done.
not that you made
You're
it up,
welcome.
but you know.
So the Greeks made it up, it seems.
No, it's very true. I don't want them coming after me. Okay.
No, we don't want the Greeks after us.
So the topic that I did pick was one that a lot of people suggested and that I had never heard of. So I looked into it, obviously, and it was sent to me by Quite Frankly, Robo816, Becky Ann 1204, and Somewhere Over the Bamboo. And this topic is the Lawson Family Christmas Day Massacre.
Okay.
Dun dun dun.
I've never heard of it. Hang on, I need a swig of my D Peppy.
Yeah. Yeah, you take that swig.
D Peppy is a thing I learned. By the way, oh, okay, actually I'm
Thing
not
you learned or made up?
learned. Because I changed my mind. I have learned things since Visco Girl, which is Baby Yoda. And
Well, sure. We all learned that together.
we all learned something
we
about
all
ourselves.
held hands
I think.
and learned that, yeah.
D Peppy is from one of the Baby Yoda memes. So when it's when the one where he's
Emma's
drinking
holding
tea.
a Dr. Pepper if you're not watching this.
So was
to be
Baby Yoda in the
clear.
meme, and he called it a D Peppy, and I'm just obsessed. So
Okay, great. I love it. Okay.
okay,
So-
as you were.
This is the Lawson Family Christmas Day Massacre.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you where I researched this because there was a lot of information. I used a few podcasts, Morbid, Criminal, and Once Upon a Crime. So thank you. Those were extremely, extremely helpful. Those were like where I got most of my information. And then I also went on Medium's website, news.com.au, Wiki, obviously, The Lineup, and murderpedia.org. So there's that. I'm just going to tell you now because this is a wild tale.
All right.
You're not going to know what hit you. All right. 1920s in Germantown, North Carolina. Oh, also, since North Carolina's mad at us, I'm going to do a North Carolina story for you.
Are you mad at us, North Carolina?
Well, since we didn't go to Charlotte on this tour. you
fair.
know.
Okay.
So I apologize about that.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's definitely M. So we're in Germantown, North Carolina. Charles Lawson and his family, they worked as tenant tobacco farmers. They weren't really wealthy. They were kind of lower working class, but by 1927, they had saved enough money to buy their own farm. It was kind of run down, but it was kind of their life goal to have their own farm. So they moved onto this farm. The dad's name is Charles or Charlie Lawson, And he had been born in 1886. There's not much known about him. But in 1911, he married a woman named Fanny.
But
what is Fanny short for? You have to wait for me to ask the question.
all right, okay, edit. Okay, you do it.
Fanny.
Oh, what's Fanny short for?
But.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay.
I like that. We want to make merch about that someday. That would be really fun.
We would like a fanny pack that says that ideally.
So I'm telling you, that would be like epic, I think.
Yes.
We'll work on it.
Okay.
But so we know that fanny also means a front butt in other countries.
Yes.
To be clear. Somebody DM'd me recently and was like, Fanny is short for the name Francis. I was like,
It's like,
I mean, I know, but that's not what we meant.
the fanny.
It was, what is Fanny short for? That's what it was. What is Fanny short for? But yeah. Okay, sorry. Charles and Fanny had 8 children, but William, one of their children, died of pneumonia at the age of 6. So they had 7 remaining children. Marie was 17, Arthur 16, Carrie 12, Maybelle 7, James 4, Raymond 2, and Mary Lou 4 months old.
Wow.
Once you list them all out, it's like, holy smokes, that's a lot.
Fun fact about Mary Lou. So Mary Lou was the secret code name for the Avengers movies.
What do you mean the secret code name?
So every movie has a fake name. You knew about this, no?
No.
Oh, okay. Most movies have a code name that they go by. So that way, if you're actually filming on location, it'll be like a more boring name of a movie. That way people don't crowd around and want to watch you film it.
Oh, but where do you put the code name?
Like if you're put it like on a chair back or something.
Oh.
Or on like all the production stuff.
So any
like,
public facing stuff, it has like a...
or like let's say I know we have this a lot in LA, a lot in New York, also like in Atlanta. If you're a big town where people will shoot on location or shoot at actual physical sites that a lot of people are usually at, like a park or something, instead of being on set, that's the being on location. When you're not on set, you're on location. A lot of times there'll be like drivers have to know where base camp is, so they'll have signs in public without drawing attention saying like,
we're shooting the Avengers movie over here in this gas station.
The Avengers base camp is this way.
Yeah.
They had like Mary Lou base camp.
Ours should be Fanny. Fanny's performing over here.
Got it. Well, now if you see also all the Captain America ones, each Captain America one was a different winter themed one.
Okay.
So like in the one, because in the first movie he was frozen to death. So
don't tell me they called it Frozen, because that's going to get a lot of people confused.
No, they called it Frostbite.
Oh, okay.
But like things like that. I think the second one was actually called Frostbite, but they had like frost themed.
Icicle.
Yeah. Like things that like, so I think I showed you the one. I still have a chair back from when I worked on Spider-Man, and it was called Summer of George.
What?
And it's supposed to be a name that's kind of ambiguous and like
it sounds like a
boring.
lame like indie movie.
Yeah, the idea is that like so people don't crowd around, because if you're also shooting at a park and you need it to look like it's open and there aren't really people at the park, if people start crowding around,
right, it's not going to look very good.
Not only do the camera people have a harder time shooting, but also there's enough people there that now audio gets messed up because people are talking and nobody's going to just totally shut up and be silent.
And there's security. It's a whole thing.
It becomes a whole thing. So just to like keep things quiet, they usually have a boring name for an exciting movie.
Interesting.
So anyway, Mary Lou was the nickname for Infinity War, I think.
Interesting. It's also a 4-month-old.
Okay. I'm trying to do all the fun stuff now before it gets to murder.
Sure. Family. So the family was pretty well respected. They were seemingly normal. And in 1929, 2 weeks before Christmas, Charles took his entire family into town to Winston-Salem, which was about 13 miles from where they lived. He planned to get a studio portrait taken of the whole family. So beforehand, he bought everyone fancy new outfits. He told them they could buy whatever they wanted. The kids got new toys. And they all got dressed up for this picture. Now pause. That was so abnormal, like because they were lower working class in a rural area. This just was not a thing you did in the 1920s, especially with 7 children, getting them all into town, paying for all brand new clothes for all of them. These people were not rich. Like, you know, they worked really hard to feed their own family. The whole thing was, and then the portrait, like it's just very strange. A lot of people at that time in their class would never in their entire lives have any picture taken of them. So the fact that he paid for this whole studio portrait, very bizarre. Very bizarre. So it was extremely expensive. It was just way out of the way. It just threw everybody off. They're like, we don't know what's going on, but his family just went with it. So, like I said, according to Morbid, the podcast, most people, their societal rank had never even had a photo taken. So This is very odd. This wasn't like, J.C. Penney's Christmas studio portrait session. It was like, I don't know what it was like, but it was not that.
It was not that. I see.
So I found a photo that was labeled for use. So I'm going to put it on the green screen so that everybody, because it's like a really important part of the story.
Wow, it looks great.
I'm going to show it to you right here.
I can't see it.
I'm about to show it to you right here.
Oh, I see.
I'm like, hold on, let me scroll.
I was trying to make a joke for the future. Like, I don't know what's here, but okay, let me see.
I'll show you in a moment. But I wanted to also add that when his family asked, why are you doing this? His wife was like, okay, I'm getting nervous. Like, we don't have much money. Why are you doing this? He said, it's a Christmas surprise.
Oh, boy.
So just very strange. So this is a photo. So you get like a little look. So I'm going to explain to you here. So everyone looks kind of uncomfortable, right? And like, I know that back then people in photos didn't necessarily smile. That wasn't like how photos worked back then.
Still blows my mind though. I understand why you wouldn't smile, because like you only get one shot and you want it to be like a serious picture of you.
Well, but like people, it wasn't like even a concept that you would smile. Like, why would you smile?
Yeah, like,
it's here's what I look like. Yeah. So, okay, here. This is Marie. She's 17. That's the daughter, and that's the father. And then over here, this really angry lady is Fanny. There's Mary Lou. And then these are the other kids. This is Arthur over here. Okay. So the whole family's it's set up where
look, there's Infinity War.
There she is.
Yeah.
It's set up strangely because the mom and dad, not strangely, but kind of different than what you would expect. The mom and dad are not in the center of the photo.
Yeah, interesting.
They almost look like a couple, the father and daughter.
It looks like two couples are showing off their children together.
It
looks like two couples.
Oh, I see.
And they're younger kids.
Right. So it's a little bit odd. Like, it just kind of like, you'd normally think in a traditional family setting back then, like
mom and dad would be the center
in the middle holding the baby, and then everyone's around. So it was a little bit odd. But as you can tell, everyone's kind of cranky looking.
Yeah.
This guy,
also, like, for a professional portrait, there's no real backdrop there. Like, it's like it looks like they're standing kind of off to the side of the screen.
Yeah, that's true. It looks like our attempt at a green screen.
They just went up to like a corner of a wall and they were like, let's all smush together.
Yeah, and it was probably way expensive.
Anyway,
and then here, so you can see he's the only one. The dad, Charlie, is kind of smiling and like he's looking off into the distance.
That actually makes it so much creepier now that I know something dark's about to happen, because it looks like the others are clearly clueless to whatever is in the future.
They look pretty uncomfortable and unhappy. Just saying.
Okay, duly noted.
Not to prime anyone, but we'll see.
Duly noted. They do look pissed or not.
At least Fanny.
She does look the most mad. The rest look like resting bitch face.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned on Morbid, they all look kind of uncomfortable, but the photo is taken, they move on, and 2 weeks later, on Christmas Day of 1929, 17-year-old Marie, she wakes up early, she's going to bake the Christmas cake, it's a family tradition, and the oldest son, Arthur, who's 16, he's a little bit younger than Marie, he and his dad wants to go hunting for rabbits with his dad, and this is a local Christmas tradition that, or it was a local Christmas tradition that you would go rabbit hunting in the morning on Christmas Day. But he realizes he doesn't have any shotgun shells. So he asks his dad if he has any shotgun shells, and his dad says, "No, I have none to spare." And he says, "Why don't you go into town and buy some shells and come back so we can go hunting?" So Arthur heads out back to town to get some shotgun shells to go hunting. So Arthur is at the store, he's buying these shells, when he is pulled aside by someone who tells him, something terrible has happened, you need to get back to the farm. So Charles, his brother, so Charles is his dad, his brother Elijah and his sons had stopped by the Lawson farm on the way home from a hunt to wish them a Merry Christmas. When they arrived, they found the middle girls, 12-year-old Carrie and 7-year-old Maybelle, in the tobacco barn, shot and bludgeoned to death. Fanny, the mom, was on the porch. She had been shot in the chest with a shotgun. Inside, they found 17-year-old Marie's body sprawled next to the fireplace. Then the little boys, 4-year-old James and 2-year-old Raymond, were found inside, beaten to death.
Shit.
They had seemingly run and hidden before being found and killed by the attacker. Then they found 4-month-old Mary Lou inside her crib, bludgeoned to death.
Oh my God.
The bodies had all been found with their arms crossed and rocks under their heads.
Oh.
And Charles was nowhere to be found. Of course, police and neighbors descend on the farm. Arthur's called back, and people begin searching for Charles. And that's when they hear one single shotgun blast from the woods. So Arthur and a police officer follow the family's 2 beagles into the woods, who know where to lead them. And the dogs lead them to Charles. He's dead. He's dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There were footprints encircling a tree nearby where he had essentially been walking for hours.
Wow.
Like, he had trodden down so
Wow.
much that he had been walking for several hours around this, like pacing essentially, before taking his own life. Next to Charles's body were 2 letters, both seemingly unfinished. They were on the back of 2 receipts. One said, "Troubles can cause." And the other said, "No one to blame but." And that's all they said.
Huh.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
So once they had found Charles's body, they were able to piece together what had happened, knowing who had done this now. They determined that Carrie and Maybelle, the 12 and 7-year-olds, had decided to head out to their uncle and aunt's house. Their father was waiting behind the tobacco barn with a shotgun. And once they were in range, he shot them with his 12-gauge shotgun, and to ensure they were dead, he bludgeoned them before placing their bodies in the tobacco barn, folding their arms, and putting rocks under their heads. He
Wow.
then returned to the porch, where he shot Fanny directly in the chest, just walked right up to her. Marie and the 2 boys heard the blast, presumably, and the boys went running to find a hiding place. Charles entered the house, shot Marie in front of the fireplace before seeking out the boys, going to look for them, and then shooting them and bludgeoning them as well. Finally, he went to the baby, bludgeoned her to death, and put her back in her crib. And her cause of death was a fractured skull.
Wow.
Then he posed the rest of the bodies with their arms crossed and rocks under their heads. Some accounts say stones were placed over their eyes also, but that's not confirmed. But it's a very like funereal
Right.
setup kind of.
Sure.
After posing the bodies, he went to the woods where he, like I said, paced for several hours before shooting himself, and he was eventually found by his son and a police officer. Now, obviously, this is like suddenly a massive, sensation in the town and across the state. 5,000 people attended the family's funeral. A lot of them, most of them not knowing the family, but just curious what happened. And according to Morbid, the bodies were buried together in one plot, with Charles also in the same plot, which is
that's kind of gross.
questionable, right?
I get it, but I also hate it.
Also, it said Charles, father, and I'm like, don't do that. He just murdered all of his children and his wife.
Not very fatherly.
Yep. Also, they were. This is really an odd fact. They buried them in the clothes that he had bought for their studio portrait because they were the nicest clothes they owned.
I get it, but that's just icky.
It's so icky. It makes it just like an extra layer of disturbing. So the farm was a crime scene, but back then, as you can probably imagine, they didn't cordon off crime scenes. They didn't disinfect them in any way. So thousands of people began swarming the family farm to gawk at the scene of the crime. There was still blood everywhere.
Shit.
Basically left exactly as it was found the day of the murders. And at this point, Charles' brother Marion took advantage of this and started charging people 25 cents to tour the house.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Which actually, I've thought about this a lot, and I was listening to Once Upon a Crime, and at first it's very like, ew, why would you do that? But it's kind of like nowadays we have TV shows and podcasts and things where literally all we do is hear about murders.
Also, I think what grosses me out about it, or makes me feel a little uneasy, is that it was so fresh to the death. I feel like maybe after enough time has passed, then maybe it's not as exploitive.
But I think that's
that's me with going to the Lizzie
nature.
Borden house. It's I feel like enough time's passed.
I mean, I think that's like a human feeling, but I think if you really think about it, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
just as it's murder is murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays, if something horrible happened, everyone's going to watch TV about it. If somebody, I don't know, a recent case that's even the Menendez brothers, everyone tuned into the trial. Everyone wanted to know what happened. People
Right.
saw the crime scene photos. It's just
That's
very...
true.
People,
Or
people are just drawn
the
to that.
act, Gypsy Rose, everyone.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
And so it's it sounds fucked up, but nowadays, you don't have to go visit the crime scene to see what people can do.
Right.
To see what the results of a murder like that can be. You can literally just turn on the TV or Google it. So it makes sense to me a little bit that people were fascinated and wanted to just see what was happening. It's fucked up. I think maybe don't bring your kids there.
Right.
But who knows? So this is disturbing. Marie's Christmas cake was still on display from that morning, the one that she had baked. But it ended up having to be put under glass because people kept stealing the raisins off of it.
Wow.
Hold on.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to elaborate more, which I could easily do.
You can. You
It's
don't
just
have to.
my first thought was like, I can't imagine like making a cake thinking I'm going to eat it, but it's actually everyone that's going to eat parts of it are actually people viewing my murder in a few hours.
That's almost like one of the more disturbing elements, and
it's like
it's only because like, oh look, she made this for the family to celebrate.
Yeah,
and
the
then,
only reason it exists is because she had other plans only a few hours ago.
Exactly. And so people were stealing. Apparently people came with buckets and collected the blood. So this is too far. I'm like, don't steal shit from a crime scene. Don't like, collect blood from the victim. Like, okay, now you're going too far. Like, I understand wanting to like see it and be curious, but like,
this is how I end up having stories. Like, it sounds like you're just trying to haunt your own house.
Right,
like, what a curse to bring like a victim's blood into your home.
Bring a victim's raisins back to your house.
Right.
Those are cursed raisins. Mm-hmm. All raisins are cursed raisins, to be clear.
Unless they're on sticks of peanut butter celery.
Correct.
And then little aunties on a log.
Just don't put them in my cookies. Okay. So supposedly John Dillinger also came to the scene to view it, right?
Interesting.
Isn't that cool? It's just like one of those random fun facts where like thousands of people came, including John Dillinger. Oh, he was curious too, I guess.
Well, him amongst many. Of all people, I'm less surprised about him being there.
You're right about like Lizzie Borden. Think about it. Nowadays, if we were there and they still had like a setup of it, we'd be like, oh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's true.
Sure, it's like 100 years later, but it's still, the fucked up things still happen to these very real people. So it's just, yeah, you're right. It seems very fresh and like fucked up, and it is.
There's an element of how new it is that like, I don't know why. I don't know why it makes it less fucked up immediately.
We do talk about that. Like older stories just have the element of time. Like they don't feel as.
I think also we're more open to talk about our feelings about them because we know nobody alive right now is suffering through the aftermath of it.
Like direct, like this, right. Like nobody is like a current victim of the situation.
Like nobody that's alive right now was best friends with Lizzie Borden's dad or something like that. Like not that may, like, oh, now we can laugh about it. That's not what I mean. But
it just feels
seems
less, it feels farther away, like distanced almost. Yeah. No,
but
I
the fact that like the cake is still warm from her making it, and there's her fresh blood outside from only an hour later, and then people are just like bringing buckets. It's like,
well, that part's like beyond me.
Yeah, it just seems I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it just seems like there's not enough time has passed for us to somehow kind of at least form a scab over it.
Completely. Especially being like in the family and charging 25 cents for people to come see it. It just, listen, I don't know this guy. I know I did read he had like severe money problems, and listen, I'm not judging. I'm just saying like I understand why our innate reaction is to go, what the fuck?
And then our secondary reaction is to be like, well,
actually, because like I was listening to Once Upon a Crime, and she said that she's like, I mean, to be honest, like we all probably would have gone if you're listening to this podcast and you binge true crime podcast, and
that's true,
and you had no other access to any of this kind of information. It's fascinating to you, and you're like, what is everyone looking at? What is everyone, how could this happen? It doesn't mean you don't have empathy. I guess it just means like you're sickly fascinated, like we are.
Right. I mean, who are we to talk? We literally host a true crime podcast.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, and like. So I'm like, we were probably in the same boat. So I don't feel like I can judge that at all.
Got it.
Taking the blood, don't do that.
That I might not have done.
That's a different story. That's like, what are you going to do with that? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, either you're going to do nothing or something.
Right.
And anything in the something category is bad.
You're going to do nothing or something, and we don't like either.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you the theories as to what the fuck happened on Christmas Day of 1929.
Got it.
So Arthur had actually injured himself a few weeks prior to the murder. He was chopping some weeds down with with kind of an axe, a pickaxe type thing. I don't know if it was a pickaxe. It's a type of axe. And it got caught on like a wire, and it swung back and hit him in the head.
Ooh, the sharp point or the dull point?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I imagine...
Those are two different stories. Either you got hit by the wooden handle or the sharp metal.
I don't think he got hit by a handle if he was swinging it. Right?
Oh, I see. I thought you meant like it left his hands and it swung.
No. Like he was swinging it and like it got stuck, and when he pulled it back, it gave way and hit him in the head.
It's bad. Got it.
Yeah. So it was a really, really bad injury. And people said his temperament changed after the injury. His temper became even worse than usual. But so at first it's like, oh, head injury, we know how that can change someone's behavior and attitude and outlook on life. And that seems to have happened. But this is also debunked pretty much, in my opinion, as a plausible theory, because after their deaths, Charles's brain was actually removed and brought to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And they analyzed it to see if anything was wrong, if he had received brain injury from the hit. Nothing. He didn't have any brain injury. Nothing was seemingly like off from his normal self, from the way his brain would have looked before the injury. So that kind of was debunked as a theory as to why he did this. Another theory, now this is the one that's probably the most shocking. This one didn't actually surface until 60 years after the crime. So in 1990, a book called White Christmas, Bloody Christmas was published about the Lawson family murders. The book was written by Trudy J. Smith and her father, M. Bruce Jones, who was actually a boy in the neighborhood when the murders occurred. So as he grew up, he said all his sisters were able to go see the crime scene, and his mom said he was too young, so he was left at home.
I feel like that would cause you to, in the future, write a book on
Be
it.
obsessed with it,
yeah,
right?
It's like, well, everyone else got
You
to
kept
see it.
me from it. Exactly. So he did. He became kind of obsessed with solving the crime, and his daughter joined him, and they wrote a book about it.
Huh.
The day before the book was to be published, they received a phone call, and the phone call was from one of the Lawsons' cousins. Her name was Stella, and she was a cousin of the kids at the time, and she had already been interviewed for the book, but she called and said, look, I know you're about to publish it, but there's something you need to know before you publish your book. It emerged that weeks before Christmas, Marie, who's the oldest, the one in the middle, the 17-year-old, she was at a sleepover with her best friend, Ella Mae Johnson, and she seemed like off. She seemed upset. And Ella Mae asked what was wrong, and she said nothing, and she kind of prodded her and asked her what was going on. Finally, Marie broke down and told her best friend that she was pregnant. When Ella Mae asked who the father was, Marie said, my papa.
And that's why they were standing in the middle together in the Christmas picture?
I don't know. It just adds to it, you know. So Marie told Ella Mae that her dad knew he had impregnated her, and so did her mother.
Okay,
But
that's different.
a neighbor said he had heard about this, the pregnancy, and Charlie had told him, if you ever tell Fanny, if Fanny ever found out, if anyone would ever tell Fanny, quote, there would be some killing done. So yikes. And Marie outwardly told her friend, my mother knows as well. So...
And she looked pissed in that picture.
She did look pretty fucking pissed, and they all look pretty uncomfortable. So then the authors were like, well, back to the drawing board, I guess. Our book was supposed to be published tomorrow, but let's
oh my God.
go back. So they started to gather more information about this story, and it seems pretty true. Like, there's, you know, a lot of people had...
Have they ever exhumed her body to see if there was a baby there? Or is it... I don't know how bodies work. It could...
I don't
know,
think so.
Like, would there still be a fetus there after all this time is what I'm...
I guess it would depend on how far along she was.
Yeah.
So a few Lawson women, and she wasn't showing in the photo. They've said she wasn't showing, so I don't know how far along she would have been. So a few Lawson women had been overheard talking at the funeral about how Fanny had confided in them that she had discovered incest in her family before Christmas, and she had agonized about the situation for weeks. And that family portrait just becomes creepier and creepier the more you think about this whole situation going down. And like that at the time of this photo, Marie and her dad and mom knew about this pregnancy, and he had assaulted her, and it just makes it all much more twisted.
Right.
Especially him with that weird smug face. It's just not good.
Yeah.
You guys, if you're not watching the YouTube, go Google a picture of the Lawson family murders. Or the portrait.
He does look very proud of himself.
Right? He's like between the two of them and like looking off into the distance. It's a little creepy. So that one, I think that theory makes a lot of sense to me because pretty much everyone from around that time, there were rumors going around, but also people in the family were like, oh no, she told us this. Like we knew this was the truth. Fanny knew, Marie knew. It's not just a rumor. Like they actually have a lot of people who were there who said it was true. Now, another question that was brought up in that Morbid episode that I thought was interesting is why didn't he kill Arthur? Why did he send Arthur away before the murders? One theory that I think makes a whole lot of sense is that he believed Arthur would have stopped him. So he's like, he's the oldest, he's 16. Like, he would have gotten in the way. If I were trying to kill everyone in the family, he would have gotten in the way. So that's one theory. Another theory that I think is interesting is that Arthur didn't believe the incest. He didn't know about the incest thing And so after the deaths, maybe he would have been able to be like, no, that would never happen, and like protect the family name or reputation, which is a little bit, it's a lot of thought. I don't know. That doesn't totally.
It's a lot of assuming about someone's character after you're not there.
Yeah, and a lot of caring about that.
Right.
After you just murdered everyone, you want your reputation to be saved. It's
right,
like,
exactly.
Questionable.
Kind of backwards.
Now, another theory that was thrown out by the people on Morbid, which I thought was interesting, is that considering he was the oldest son, he could carry on the family name. And I personally think that makes a lot of sense, just because that's how a lot of people think and thought. And, you know, he was the oldest son. I'm sure apparently he and his dad were very close, and maybe he just was like, okay, you're carrying on our name, and everyone else has to go with me. Arthur had obviously a hard life after the murders. All his 6 siblings and his mother and father were all dead in a matter of one afternoon on Christmas Day. He began drinking heavily at a young age, and he refused to discuss the crimes with anyone for the rest of his life. He married and had 4 kids, but tragically in 1945, he died in a car accident at the young age of 31. So he didn't even live too much longer, 15 years after the murders. So this was brought up in every podcast episode I listened to about this story, is that back then there were these things called murder ballads. And they would basically sing songs, like bluegrass bands would like make songs about murderers or crimes.
Oh, okay.
It's like in Game of Thrones where like they'd play, you know, like old-timey tunes about like the wife so fair, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know, that one. And so they would make up these songs about like these crimes, and then they would sing them, and people would kind of...
I've heard a few.
Yeah. And so they actually played the songs in Criminal and Once Upon a Crime. And that's very weird to hear. They were very popular. Apparently they were often used as lullabies to warn children, like cautionary tales, which... Stick to the demons if you're going to do a cautionary tale.
The thing about a cautionary tale is, like, realistically, it can't happen.
And also, by the time you're older, you realize, oh, that was made up.
Right. This is like a little too... It's literally real.
What are you saying? Like, Daddy's going to hack you up with it?
It's like you're not telling a fable. You're telling a biography.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
A real story.
So that I thought was weird. It's like Strovelpeta, but like...
But real.
So actually, here are some of the lyrics. I'm going to read to you. I'm not going to sing them.
Okay.
Don't worry.
You're not going to look in my eyes and hold my hand and then write it in a card later for me to read out loud to everyone else? Okay.
Oh, I'll do that just after we stop recording. Okay. Don't worry. Here's some lyrics, and I heard this on all 3 episodes. They say he killed his wife at first, while the little ones did cry. Please, Papa, won't you spare our lives? It is so hard to die. And I'm like, that's fucked up, dude.
Ooh, that's... heavy. And like they said it in the Morbid episode too. They were like, also like, you don't know what the fuck they said, like, right, it is so hard now you're
to
bringing
die, Papa.
your own spin on things.
Correct. You're like creating your own little like story behind it to sing to your, because it rhymes, right? I mean, really. So anyway, the family is still buried in the same plot in Germantown, North Carolina. The headstone bears the inscription, quote, "Not now, but in the coming years, it will be in a better land. We'll read the meaning of our tears, and then sometime we'll understand." It's just all very dark and heavy stuff. Pretty much everyone in town knows the story. I can imagine you would if you lived in a small town like that. If you want to read a copy of White Christmas, Bloody Christmas, it's very hard to find a copy. So you can check it out at the local library, but you have to stay in the building to read it so that you don't steal it.
Oh, interesting.
You can't really check it out. The story is still shared to this day. It has kind of developed this like air of mystery over time, as like you said, this is ripe for a kind of a ghost story, a creepy paranormal story. Yeah. It is said that when the leaves fall, they fall on every plot except Charles's. Huh. And when it snows, the snow doesn't stick to his grave.
Interesting.
So there are also...
Even Mother Nature has denied him.
Yeah, exactly.
She's
as
like,
she
fuck
should.
you.
There are also rumored to be some ghosts that haunt the property.
Well, duh.
I'm going to tell you these because there's definitely not enough for you to do a story. There's only like one.
Now you know what it's like to try to find a ghost
topics.
story.
I know. So I decided to just do it because I'm like, you're never going to have enough to cover this on your own. But so there are rumored to be ghosts, duh, as you said so eloquently.
Also I could have gone with Doy.
Doy is a good one. Is that cool now though? That's probably not
we
cool.
literally said this is heavy as if we're still in the 80s. So I think cool has passed. Mom, if you're listening, I'm no longer cool, so
This is not...
hope you enjoyed that phase of my life. I sure did.
I'm sure she loved it, by the way, when you were super cool.
Yeah.
This is not radical. All right.
Not tubular
Not
whatsoever.
tubular whatsoever. Okay, according to paranormalstories.blogspot.com, which I imagine is one of your bookmarks, a house that is now the Squire's Inn Bed and Breakfast is said to be haunted by members of the Lawson family. The owners claim they have seen 7-year-old May Bell and 2-year-old Raymond Lawson peering into windows of the front door, and they have been heard talking, laughing, and playing inside and outside the house. According to paranormal author Dale J. Young, it is said that Charlie Lawson's crimes are so horrible that his soul is not even welcome in hell.
Wow.
As a result, some local residents say his ghost still wanders the road in Stokes County near the place where his farm once stood. And if you go, you can see him walk down the road toward where his farm once was. And finally, the author of StrangeCarolinas.com interviewed Richard Miller, the owner of TB Knight Funeral Home. So there's a museum on the first floor, and then there's like the funeral home above it.
Oh, wow.
Where the 8 members of the Lawson family were embalmed. When asked if there were any ghosts, Miller, the owner, replied, "Yes, a little girl. I've never seen her, but 4 people have. One was a man. I was in here," which I'm like, okay.
Thank
sure.
you. What were the other 3?
Yeah, I don't know who's to say.
A dog.
Is
Is that to believe? Does that mean the other?
What is it called?
Does that mean the other 3 are women?
I think that's what he's saying, which I'm like,
Katsopoulos.
okay, men can
One
believe
was
in
a Jesse
ghosts
Katsopoulos.
too. Yes. One was an Uncle Jesse. One was a man. Okay. I was in here years ago, and apparently she was looking out the window because the man wanted to know if my daughter was in here working with me. So the guy came in and asked, "Oh, is your daughter work in the office with you?" And he's like, "No, I don't have a daughter." Or, "No, no, my daughter's not here." And he's like, "Oh, who's that little girl in the window?"
Goodbye.
She's like, "Goodbye."
Goodbye.
Then he says, "There's been 3 kids." Oh, okay. Maybe it was 3 kids.
Okay.
All right. I'll give you a pass on this, Richard. He says, "There's been 3 kids who saw her. One kid about 3 years ago grabbed his dad's arm and said, 'I'm not going up there. There's a little girl standing there.'"
I like how he didn't know if it was a dead girl or not, just a girl, and he was like, "I'm not going up there."
Yeah, fuck that.
Like, there's a girl.
You're
Absolutely
right.
not.
There's a girl. I refuse. That's such a good point. He also says, Richard also says, "I've had a couple kids who refuse to go down the hallway." So they are scared of her, which is interesting because a lot of times you hear of kids say like, "Oh no, that's my friend."
Yeah,
but apparently they don't
This one is not trying to like mooch off your vulnerable.
Yeah, this one's been
child.
murdered violently. I don't know. And anyway, that is the tragic tale of the Lawson Family Christmas Day Massacre.
All right.
Terrible, huh?
Terrible.
So I researched that, and that's why when we were doing an episode yesterday too, I was like, I don't want to do another Christmas one. I just want to kind of do one and then move on. It's too much. It's a lot.
The takeaway is Mary Lou is also the Avengers. That's where I'm
focus on
just gonna
that.
leave it. I
Focus
didn't
on
know.
that.
I thought for sure you would have known about that as working in TV, that there were code names for things.
No, but I never worked on set. Like I worked on set, like at Disney, like in the building.
Oh,
like on a lot.
Got it.
But I never worked on location because I was always an office PA.
Got it. Well, even then, it's I guess.
And also, I
that
worked
makes sense.
at Disney XD. We didn't have we didn't need code names.
That's true. Any
for
of the
things.
Nickelodeon or Disney shows they had just normal names.
And also, they're all filmed or they're either animated or they're all filmed on set at Nickelodeon. So
Right.
there weren't any.
But yeah, so there was there was mainly code names for people like me because the whole point is that there's so many moving parts to a production that you don't know the names of every person
Sure, it
who's
makes
gonna
sense.
work on your show. So like if I ran home and said I'm working on Spider-Man,
Things would get out of hand very quickly.
yeah, so they wouldn't even tell us. Like we found out
It
afterwards.
kind of makes sense because who knows who's accidentally going to say it, who's accidentally going to say it.
Well,
Yeah.
you kind of figure it out after you're making enough of the props, but like
Yeah.
but like
You're making like a Spider-Man mask. You're like, I wonder what this movie about Summer of George is.
Well, yeah, so like they don't tell us either. The whole point is that like only the direct people
Very
who
contained.
work on the actual movie, like are on the lot, know what the movie is. And then whenever they would give us a work order or come pick something up, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm here for Summer of George."
It does make sense.
And that way, like all the moving parts underneath you can trust that they're not going home or like stealing product. Like if I knew that I was working on a Spider-Man movie, fuck yeah, I would take everything. Like I would have made doubles of everything, so I'd have my own like little.
Hold on, I'm calling the police.
Well, so then you end up finding out like After you work there long enough, you just become friends with the people who are making the work order, so they know what the actual movie is. And
they could probably trust you at that point not to run around screaming what you're doing or tweet it.
Yeah, so at some point you're working on enough things, and you're like, oh, what is this movie
and also,
actually?
Like, your
and you
job would be at stake. If you tweeted, I'm working on this, like, they fucking would probably fire you.
Yeah, the rule usually was once the movie's out, you can tell.
Right.
So
there were times where you would kind of look at me and be like, you may not share this.
Oh yeah, we would be in the middle of the podcast,
I know.
and I'd be like,
delete this.
I'd be like, delete this part.
That
you
happened
cannot
a lot.
tell anyone. I know.
Anyway.
We used to know. You used to be the bearer of all my secrets.
I still am. You just don't know it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to our holiday special, full of fun facts and lots of gruesome death.
Christmas time
has passed.
Yes. Can't wait to sing that again next year.
Can you wait? No.
We can't.
I'm going to tell the real story about the Grinch, so email me.
Okay. And
that's
why
we
drink.
Yay.
I feel like our show should be called That's Why We Drink. Yay.
I know. I never know what...
You always got to have the last word, man.